What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk a little bit about the Marvel Champions release schedule. I am over at the World Championships in London, Pokemon World Championships as it stands at the moment, so I'm not so available for making card game videos as I often would be, so I figured this is a good time to make a video about the release schedule of Marvel Champions, because like you guys, I kind of love this game, and I'm extremely excited about what's coming, so this seems like a fun thing to have a chat about. What I will say is we're in a weird situation at the moment, because as it stands, we should just have had the release of, well, as they do at the moment, they do double releases, so we should have just had SP//DR, or, just Spider, and we should have just had the release of Spider-Ham. I was slightly late on the ball for these, I apologise. The good news is, as I record this, they are literally in the post, and by the time you listen to this, I will have played a whole bunch of games with them and be very happy about it. Yay! But what that means is that we've actually got 3 things that are currently on the docket, so to speak. 3 things that have been confirmed for release. And they're all actually coming out on the same day. Or at least together. We're told that they're releasing alongside each other, so we're assuming that means same day. So, we'll start off with the big one, and that is Mutant Genesis. This is the next big box expansion. We had Sinister Motives, that was the Spider-Man one, that was the most recent big box, and I'm very honest on this channel, right? So when I tell you Sinister Motives was the most exciting thing in the game for me so far, that's because I'm a gigantic Spider-Man nerd, and yeah, it really was. Am I as excited for Mutant Genesis as I was for Sinister Motives? No. I am a bigger Spider-Man fan than I am an X-Men fan. Am I still ridiculously excited for Mutant Genesis and a very big X-Men fan? Oh my goodness, yes. And there's quite a lot coming in here. So we have 2 new heroes. We've got Kitty Pryde and we've got Colossus. So Colossus, when you set up, you search your deck for a copy of Organic Steel and add it to your hand, and you got a response after you change to this form. Shuffle a Colossus card from your discard pile into your deck. Now, Organic Steel is an upgrade that after a tough status card is discarded from Colossus, exhaust this card, remove a steel counter, and give Colossus a tough status card. So you're kind of renewing them as you go along, which is nice. Then in hero form, you can have an additional tough status card, which is good. And after you change to this form, you give Colossus a tough status card. And essentially the entire deck is built around having tough status cards, which is honestly kind of amazing. So Made of Rage lets you discard a tough status card to get +6 attack, as an example. I'm not going to keep going through this, but we can look at Bulletproof Protector, discard a tough status card, and either ready your hero, or give yourself 2 tough status cards. Basically, the entire deck is built around that, and I, for one, am completely and utterly into it. We then have Shadowcat coming in, or Kitty Pryde, or Shadowcat for me. As set up, you put your mass form upgrade into play, solid side face up, and you can flip your mass form upgrade once per round. Shadowcat's got selective intangibility. While you're in phased mass form, you ignore guard and patrol, and any crisis icons in play. Basically, the stuff that would usually stop you doing things, you get to ignore. And then, of course, you've got Solid, which lets you exhaust this card to generate a physical resource for an attack or defense event. And after you attack or defend in solid mass form, you flip. And then you've got Phased, where when you are defending you can't take damage, but after you attack or defend, you flip. And the deck is really all about just flicking between forms, and it looks absolutely brilliant. By the way, what you're getting here, this is a release schedule, so I'm running through, hey, here's what's coming and here's the most important points. If you want to have more information about these particular heroes and villains, I have done videos about them which will be linked in the description, where you can learn a whole bunch more. So in terms of the scenarios then, you start off against Sabretooth. After Sabretooth activates against you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Heal damage from Sabretooth equal to the number of boost icons discarded. But it's really all about Robert Kelly. Sabretooth is after Robert Kelly. The first player controls Robert Kelly. He doesn't count against your ally limit, can have cards attached, has 9 health, and when an enemy resolves an undefended attack against you, that damage is dealt to Robert Kelly. Because we've got the main scheme Stalked by Sabretooth. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, deal 2 damage to Robert Kelly, or 3 damage if there are at least 6 threat per player there. While Robert Kelly is attached to Find the Senator, treat his text box as if it were blank. That is a side scheme that says Robert Kelly cannot be healed by player card effects and cannot have upgrades attached. When defeated, the first player detaches Robert Kelly from the scheme, takes control, and flips to scheme 2A, and then you flip this card and place it next to the main scheme. And we've got the environment Protect the Senator. Robert Kelly cannot be healed by player card effects, cannot have upgrades attached, and after your hero defends against an attack from Sabretooth, you spend 2 resources of any type and ready your hero. Basically, the entire deck is built around protecting Robert Kelly. When he goes down, you lose. That's not a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a good thing. Then we end up with, you play against the Sentinels. You got Toughness, and when it's revealed, the first player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Abduction Protocols, and then it gets revealed, and that's got Hinder 2 per player, Victory 2, and when defeated, the player who defeats the side scheme can take a random set-aside captive ally and put it into play under their control. Because you've got the main scheme Knight of the Sentinels, Operation Zero Tolerance gains permanence. After threat is placed there, if there's at least 5 per person, the first player places a top card of the deck face down under it, and then remove 5 threat from this scheme, which is quite nice. And Operation Zero Tolerance has a forced response. After an enemy attacks and defeats an ally, place that ally face down under the scheme. And if there are X face down cards under this scheme, that is 3 more than the number of players, you lose. It's all about Sentinels kidnapping people, which again, thematically is absolutely wonderful. Now, Master Mold comes in here, and you've got Stalwart and Toughness, and when Master Mold schemes against you, you discard cards from the encounter deck until a Sentinel minion is discarded, and you put that minion into play engaged with you. Do not give Master Mold a boost card for this activation. But then you've got the Sentinel Factory, which gives each Sentinel minion guard, and when revealed, each player discards cards from the encounter deck until they discard a Sentinel minion and put it into play engaged with them. It's basically all about having a bunch of Sentinels coming out and having to deal with them, which is honestly kind of annoying. After that, we end up with the Brotherhood, who are 4 villains in 1, which I very much appreciate, but it works really nicely. So we've got the 4 villains, which do various things. You know, Blob's got Toughness and Victory 2, but as a force response, after Blob attacks and damages you, you get stunned. Pyro's got Toughness and Victory 2, but after Pyro attacks you, discard 2 cards on the top of your deck and take an indirect damage for each printed resource icon. Toad's got Toughness and Victory 2. After Toad attacks, they've all got Toughness and Victory 2 to be fair, and damages a character you control, discard a random card from your hand. And Avalanche, after Avalanche attacks you, you exhaust an ally you control. But we've got the Brotherhood Strikes, which says deal each player a face down encounter card, advance to the next card in the main scheme deck. Because the main scheme deck gives you a bunch of different locations like the Atrium, or the cafeteria, or the basketball court, or the courtyard, in which you actually go and, fight against the villains. And if there are 3 main schemes in the victory display, the players lose the game. So basically, don't let all of them go. It's really fun. I love this. And then obviously, we finish against Magneto. That should be fairly obvious. Steady and Toughness. After Magneto attacks you, place 1 magnet counter on the main scheme. And after you place a magnet counter on the scheme, if there are at least 3 magnet counters on there, discard cards from the encounter deck until a magnetic card is discarded, reveal it, and remove 3 magnet counters from the scheme. But that could be something like Magnetic Bubble, which is attached to Magneto, gives Retaliate 1, and when Magneto would take any amount of damage, you place it there, and it gets discarded at such a point as you have 8 damage on there, which seems honestly kind of annoying. So you've got all that annoyance with the magnetic cards and the magnet counters. It looks like a really fun box. That was a very quick overview. it's something to get excited about. But on the same day, we are told that releasing alongside, we have both Phoenix and Cyclops. And these are standard hero decks where you get one hero. Once again, we're not told here about any extra encounter sets, so take that as you will. So we've got Jean Grey. When you set up, you put your Phoenix Force upgrade into play, restrained side face up with 4 power counters on. After you make a basic recovery, place a power counter on Phoenix Force. But then Phoenix lets you remove a power counter from Phoenix Force to generate an any type resource. But here's the thing. Phoenix Force, you've got restrained. After the last power counter is removed from here, you flip it. And then you've got Unleashed, which says you get -2 thwart, +2 attack. And after a power counter hit is placed, if there are 4 or more, flip it. So basically what you're trying to do is control whether you are restrained or whether you are unleashed. Unleashed, really good for attacking. And the thing is, there's a bunch of bonuses. So you've got things like Psychic Blast, as an example. Deal 4 damage to the villain, but if you're unleashed, you deal 4 damage to each minion as well. Which is absolutely ridiculous. So of course there are massive upsides to being in Unleashed. But there are massive downsides, because we've got one of the most brutal nemesis minions we've actually seen. Dark Phoenix has steady, toughness, and villainous, and when she schemes, you place that threat on Consume the World, and when revealed, you search encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for Consume the World, which is a permanent side scheme, which gives an extra boost. And after threat is placed, or if there's at least 12 threat here, the players lose the game. So, yeah, basically don't mess with Dark Phoenix is probably the message here. But also on the same day, we've got Cyclops coming in, and we don't actually have a release date for any of this as it stands at the moment. We do have a placeholder date of the 30th of September, which is actually listed for all 3 of these, but again, I don't know if that's official yet. I would take that with a grain of salt. Also, everything is the 30th of September this year. It's really weird. So as for Cyclops, you've got Scott Summers that lets you include X-Men allies from any aspect in your deck. And it's got an action whereby you can search your deck for a tactic upgrade and add it to your hand. We've then got Optic Blast that lets you spend a resource of any type and deal 3 damage to an enemy with an upgrade attached, which is clearly kinda brilliant. And then obviously you've got Leadership and you're running around with all kinds of allies here, and this just kind of honestly sounds like fun. And then you've got other cards that let you take advantage of Optic Blast. So like Full Blast, for instance, you can exhaust Cyclops to deal 8 extra damage and gain Overkill, which is clearly ridiculous for 1 cost. But hey, that's where we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely where we're rolling. And then, of course, I mentioned those tactic upgrades. We got stuff like Exploit Weakness, and, you know, that lets you increase the amount of damage that the attached enemy takes. And stuff like Practice Defense, that means the attached enemy gets -1 attack. Basically, upgrades that you can put on to hurt your opponent, which is kind of awesome, honestly. That sounds fine by me. And this is what's coming. Like I say, it seems like they're all coming at the end of next month. I've not seen them confirm the release date, though it is listed on the website. So, cautiously saying 30th of September for all of this. But as always, it's one of those where we need to wait and see. And hopefully they haven't announced anything between me making this video and posting it. But if they had, I'm sorry. And of course, before we finish this video, yes, obviously they went and announced something between me recording this video and uploading it at Worlds, because why would something be simple? But I can forgive, ladies and gentlemen, because what was revealed was the Mojo Mania scenario pack, which is awesome. What you basically got here, and I did a video about this literally a few days ago, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but I will link that one in the description. And what we've got are 3 campaigns, or 3 scenarios that make a mini campaign. So you've got Magog, but you're not actually trying to defeat Magog, because if you lower his hit points to 0, All you do is put 3 rating counters on the challengers and deal each player a face-down encounter card. No, what you're trying to do, we basically got 2 cards, champion and challengers, and when you get 5 ratings counters on one of them, you flip it, and when there's 10 on the flipped version, you win or lose depending on how it goes. It looks awesome. You've then got Spiral, who is literally invincible, but you are searching for the treachery card Cornered, which lets you flip Spiral to her cornered side where you can take her out, but it is worth pointing out that every time she activates she gets a teleport counter, and when there's 3 there, you remove all of them and flip her, so you do not have long to actually take her out. And then once Treachery Cornered is revealed, then you pop it into the show deck, which is a thing that Spiral has. And then you finish off with Mojo, and basically you've got the main scheme here, which is Mojo Mania, which lets you, well, it doesn't let you, it forces you to choose a random set-aside encounter set. Yes, you have to set a bunch aside to begin the game. And you reveal its show environment, shuffle the rest of the cards into the encounter deck, but then you've also got the Wheel of Genres. When it's spinning, if there are no set-aside modular encounter sets remaining, you lose. When it stops spinning, because there is one there, then at the start of step 3 of the villain phase, you randomly choose one set-aside modular set, reveal its show environment, shuffle the rest of the modular set, put it on top of the encounter deck, and deal the first player 2 face-down encounter cards, which will of course be from the modular encounter set. And it's awesome. You got things like Dial M for Mojo, which is themed after crime, a game of Mojos, which is themed after fantasy. This looks awesome. Oh, and you've got Longshot, who's like a 1-card encounter set, which actually helps you. So you can put it into a villain deck to very, very mildly bring down the difficulty. Oh, and it was announced at Gen Con, though we've not seen anything of it yet, that Wolverine is going to be the next hero pack, so yay! Okay, now back to the end of the video as it was originally recorded. So yeah, now it's the usual thing. Tell me what you're excited about, tell me what you're looking for, tell me how excited you are. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Weiss. That's where we talk Marvel Champions and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.